Welcome to Face to Facts. I'm Nick Face. Another episode of Face to Facts in the books. Here we go. This is with Joe Pappalardo here. Our special guest as well. Just going to go down over onto my right and introduce yourself to the lovely
Andres
audience.
Paglia, nice to meet you.
And
Ryan Sullivan.
welcome, guys, to the show. First time Face to Facts members here on the show, so they're in for a great time. So on today's program, we're going to talk a little bit about how the Red Sox are doing overall. We're almost at that halfway point. On our last program that we did with you, we kind of broke down the good, the bad, and everything, but it's gotten a little worse. Actually, it's gotten much worse since we've last seen you. So we need to think about how to make this, or how to see this team do a little bit better than it is right now. We're also going to talk about some of the All-Star picks that we think are going to the big game. Anybody know where that is this year?
No.
Where is the All-Star game? I'll think about where that. I think it might be in might be Texas, but I'll double check on that before we're done. We're going to also talk about the NBA. The NBA is wrapped up for their season. We're going to talk about our thoughts on the championship, and we're going to talk about the NBA draft and think about who the Celtics may get with that number 3 pick. We'll also finish off our show today with the top 5, and we'll keep you on the edge of your seats by making you think what top 5 we are going to do today. So we're going to talk about the Red Sox first off the bat, and we know Joe's basic opinion from our last show on what he feels on the Red Sox, but let's go over to Ryan first and talk about what you think of the Red Sox right now. Are they a good team, the playoff team? What do they need? Those sorts of things.
I think at this point, really, we're in the mid in the AL. I think if the playoffs were in a few weeks, I think we'd probably miss it by a few games. I don't think we're elite, but I don't think we're one of the terrible teams. I think we just need a lot of improvements on the pitching side.
Okay. What do you feel?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like our offense is doing pretty well. Like our top 5 for hitting.
Yep.
I feel like they're all producing and doing their own. I just feel like with Craig Kimbrell, a little bit of struggling against the White Sox, giving up two runs right there. I mean, I don't know. Can we trust him going forward?
Okay.
And can we, trust him, closing down that inning for us? So for the win, or maybe to go into extra innings.
What do you think?
So I was fortunate enough to go to one of the games this week, and unfortunately it was the game against Chris Sale, so we basically got shut down.
At the start.
Yeah. What I took away the most from that game, and I don't know if it's just because it was Chris Sale, but we tend to look at a lot of pitches, and we're not really swinging right now.
Okay.
Which worries me, because for a team that's supposed to have explosive bats, nobody's really swinging. The biggest red flag for me was Hanley that night. 0 for 4, 3 straight Ks. I believe he came up with runners on either bases loaded or second and third, and fanned with 2 outs.
Yep.
And it was in the 8th inning. And my personal opinion, I know you can't do that as the manager, but I would have pinch hit Poppy there instead of in the 9th inning.
Yep.
That's just me.
Now, all of those opinions that everybody had are completely valid. I completely agree with that. But I'm changing my course. Just in case you know, I like to change my course sometimes on how I see the team. So Joe's an expert on me flipping certain things around. I'm flipping things around again. Okay, I've been very high on how the Red Sox have been doing. I was very high on the Jackie Bradley front earlier in this year when I said, out of the 3 killer bees, basically, I said Betts, Bogarts, and Bradley. Bradley was my number 1. Yeah. Well, that changed. Surprise, surprise. Now, I am going to make a bold statement right about now. So you can either like the statement, disagree with the statement, debate me with the statement, but here it is. Drum roll, please. The Boston Red Sox will go nowhere until John Farrell is fired. Let's go to Joe this time. What do you think?
Okay, so I think they will fire him.
Okay.
Only if they're more than 2.5 games out of first place going into the All-Star break.
Oh,
there needs
okay.
To
I was
be,
going to say, we're very close to that right now.
No, I know. So there needs to be a big enough gap between us and first place for Farrell to get fired. If we're a game and a half game back, going to the All-Star break, he's staying.
Okay.
But I do agree that, he might be on his way out the door, depending on how this play keeps up, if it continues.
What do you think about that statement?
Well, I mean, I kind of agree, but I feel like they're going to let him do the year.
Okay.
And if they don't make the playoffs this year, I think they're just going to fire him.
Okay.
And look for a new manager.
Yep.
So that's what I think is going to happen.
What do you think?
I think if we want to be a playoff team, I think he has to go. We had that 1 year where we miraculously won it all, but ever since then we've been honestly like a terrible team, I think.
I was thinking about the 2013 team a couple days ago, and I was saying to myself, what did that team have that this team doesn't?
Johnny Gomes.
And it has something to do with Johnny Gomes. It's that camaraderie with teammates. Guys that could come up to the plate, know that they're going to get the job done. From the game earlier from this series, now when we tape these shows, we kind of like to make it a mystery on when they were taped. So maybe this happened last night, maybe it happened on Monday night. But Hanley got a home run the other night. Excuse me, almost blew it. And he went to the camera and was like, "Oh, look at me! I'm strong, man. I'm awesome." And if you see that,
I actually
did not see that.
I didn't, but
I think he's a problem with this team. And the reason I think this problem exists is because of John Farrell. I think that Farrell lets these players kind of run the asylum a little bit on this team. There's certain guys that are fine that don't need that babysitting and kind of pampered treatment. But I feel that he gives it to Hanley because we haven't seen Hanley really move down in the lineup much outside of maybe a game where he was hitting 7th. We haven't seen that much. Personally, I feel that Hanley is a major problem right now. He's causing the team to leave a lot of guys on base. And until we make that change, I don't know if this offense is going to click right now. What do you think?
Well, just to go off what Andrea said earlier, I think to let him ride it out is dangerous just for the fact that, Poppy's gone after this year.
Yep.
I think that. I know you don't think that he's retiring, but Poppy's gone after this year.
Yeah.
So you're wasting that opportunity. So I think if Dombrowski and the upper management really want to make a run here, he has to go if things go awry.
Okay.
Also, just to hit off the part of Hanley, so I think he's been more positive, which is a good thing, but there's a difference between being positive and being overconfident, and I think he's starting to tiptoe that line.
Oh, it's definitely an overconfident. It's, oh, don't worry, I'm going to heat up. I'm going to start getting going. I don't see it.
No.
I don't. And we've seen the sample size of over a year now, basically, of him not being a power hitter, not being a run producer, and still staying in that 5 spot, which is amazing to me.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think he has, 8 home runs this year?
You might be pushing it on 8. Yeah. It's been very low.
Yeah, and I just feel like he's hitting maybe 250.
Yep.
In every game I've watched, he's going 0 for 3,
Yep.
0 for 4, maybe 1 for 4. He's just not producing.
The thing that I've noticed when he gets a hit or something is that usually guys are not on base because Ortiz is taking care of most of those RBI chances. So when he gets up to the plate, he's either has the guys on or has Poppy's leftovers, basically, and when he tries to get the job done, he leaves them on base. So there's just not been a consistent pattern with him. Do you have any thoughts on Hanley?
Yeah, I think he's had a solid start to the season.
Yep.
But I'm worried about the second half of the year because last year he had a great first half of the year and he dropped badly in the second half. So that's what I'm worried about.
Especially with injury concerns with him. There's a problem with that shoulder, I think, still from when he crashed into the wall with that left field experiment. So from his health standpoint, you might have to put that into consideration on how healthy really is Hanley Ramirez. So hopefully the story on Hanley gets better, but I'm getting tired of Farrell riding him out and hoping that he's going to get the job done. Now, here's the problem with this. Now, talking about Hanley, it kind of relates to everything else on this team right now. And the major problem that I see, too, you have your manager, you have Hanley as problem 1, problem 2. we'll get to another problem that we've talked about on the previous show. But the other thing, and you guys are probably going to notice this too, the bench. The bench has cost this team in the past week or so many games because you're getting guys from AAA coming up to play. And guess what? They're not getting the job done.
Yeah, so going back to the other night when I was at the game, you know, you've got guys like Leon playing catcher.
Yep.
I can't even actually tell you the third baseman's name. He's
We've had Devin Marrero up this week.
That was who was up.
Yep.
And just, you know, when it got late in that game and they had opportunities, the people that are coming in to pinch hit, I just
They have
don't
no
know
business
half of them.
pinch hitting.
Yeah, and they shouldn't even be at the plate. So,
Yep.
you know, that was kind of eye-opening for me as a fan to go there and kind of go, well, we really have nobody that at least I'm confident in going up to the plate and actually trying to deliver.
Well, the game earlier this week when the Red Sox, it was 1-1. It was the Stephen Wright game. It was a great, great game for Stephen Wright. He continued to produce. He's been absolutely the Red Sox MVP in the pitching staff. No question. Bottom of the ninth, 3 on, nobody out. And you cannot win the game. How does that happen? How does it happen?
Like, I mean, they were, like, putting up guys that, like, never been up in that situation. I mean, Dustin Pedroia came up. I think he struck out.
Yep.
And then you had a rookie come up, I'd like to say.
Ryan Lamar came up from Pawtucket, chopped back to the mound.
Yeah.
And I think it ended with Marco Hernandez again.
Yeah, and, like, he just swung at, like, pitches in the dirt and stuff.
Yep.
Like, nothing was close, and, like, it went 1, 2, 3 right from there, and they just did. It was bottom of the ninth,
It
too.
was bottom of the ninth.
And they could have won the game right
there. Could have walked off, and they didn't get the job done. Now, I don't have an issue with Pedroia striking out. It is what it is on that. But I do have a problem with Farrell using Pedroia in that situation.
Yeah.
I do. You cannot let 2 guys that are bench players who haven't produced much in the majors end your ball game. Let Hernandez go up. Let him chop it back somewhere. Because then at least you have a professional hitter that you know you can go down with to win the game. That's my feeling on that. Now, the other game this week that I also had issue with Farrell's management came from when Ortiz pinched hit. The game that Ortiz did not play was a Tuesday night game. And it was bottom of the ninth again. There was 1 out. Nobody on base. And Farrell goes right away to Ortiz to pinch hit there. What do you think the problem is with that? Red Sox down by 2 runs. What do you think the problem could be on that? As a manager, if it's bottom of the ninth, it was 3-1 was the score.
Okay.
There was 1 out in the ninth. Farrell went to Ortiz to hit. Why would you not use Ortiz in that situation?
I think you'd probably need to use him a little later in the game because, you know, Ortiz is incredible under pressure, and that's not really a pressure situation.
If it's 3-1, what is Ortiz going to do? Let's think of the good. Home run, right?
Yeah.
What's the score?
3-2.
Nobody's on base. So using Ortiz in that situation is not very good situational managing. You need to have a guy on so Ortiz can come to the plate and make it a meaningful at bat.
Yeah.
Make it a home run, tie the ball game. The most Ortiz is going to do is make it 3-2. So that call right there, I strongly disagree with.
Just a quick question. Once he steps on oh my God, I can't even think about it.
On deck circle?
On deck circle.
Yep.
Thank you. Is that already then he's scheduled in as a pinch
They
hitter
have
there
to
in that
notify the
situation?
umpire and tell him that they're changing.
So once he steps on the on deck circle,
no, you can
there is
still
no
change.
sub.
You
Okay,
can
so
still
he
change.
could have changed back.
He still could have
Okay.
changed back there.
Okay, then yeah.
He still could have changed back. So he could have called Ortiz back, put somebody else up, get them on, and then Ortiz hit. But he didn't. So his excuse to that, just so you know, after the game, some of the media people went to him and asked. He said the fans have a right to see David Ortiz at least produce in some capacity up at the plate to end the game. You can't leave David on the bench. So nobody challenged him and said, well, why did you have Ortiz hit here versus having them get a runner on and then hitting? Didn't really have an answer for that. So Dave Dombrowski is your president of baseball ops. Mike Hazen is the GM. I'm assuming that they're working very hard right now to make some changes. So I want to go down the line here a little bit and ask each of you what you would do to change this team if you had basically the keys to the city or the keys to the Red Sox. What would you specifically do? Let's go to you first. What would you do?
I would probably get a pitcher because we need a pitcher.
Yep.
Now, in order to do that, I don't know what you'd have to give up. I'm not willing to give up the farm system.
You're the general manager right now.
Okay, well, I'm not willing to give up the farm system.
Okay.
So, to me, it's one of your 3 killer bees that's got to go.
All right.
And you have, again, you just have to kind of part ways with one of those guys to get that pitcher. I think that would be first priority.
Okay.
I think second priority would probably be to either fix Hanley or get rid of Hanley. And for a third, I would probably call up Benintendi now.
That's bold. I like that. Any other ones you do?
No,
I like
those
that
will be my
a lot.
I mean, I'd get rid of Hanley. Just get rid of him. I just try to trade him for some, people that are younger and try to get someone younger for him. Give Travis Shaw a chance at first base because I feel like he could produce better.
Okay, so if you put Shaw at first, who's playing third? See?
Yeah.
It's tough because you got Brock Holt still hurt with his concussion, which naturally could go there. Rutledge on the DL, so you can't put him there. Pablo Sandoval is still at McDonald's drive-thru, so you can't use that. What are you going to do?
I mean, I just get rid of Hanley and Sandoval.
Yeah.
I just get rid of both of them because I just feel like they're just bad in the clubhouse. I don't feel like they're really helping the team. Because look at Sandoval.
Well, Sandoval isn't helping the team because he doesn't exist on the team.
Oh, yeah.
He's long gone in wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like last year he just didn't do much. Like, for the Giants, he was just a great hitter for them. I mean, he was swinging, I think, around 300 to 290.
Well, the reason the Sox got him, remember this, is that they got him because of his playoff experience. He was amazing in the playoffs for hitting. And that's what the Red Sox thought they were getting with Sandoval. End of the story is they got basically a fraud.
Yeah.
How would you change?
I think we need a lot of changes for our pitching.
Yep.
I think we need to get rid of Koji. He's just having a very bad year. He's getting up there with oldness.
41-year-old Koji.
Yeah. And I think hitting. I think we're doing okay.
Yep.
I think we keep Hanley for this year because I don't know what else we would do, and I think we should sign someone like Edwin Encarnacion after this year.
Oh, I like that move.
Get a veteran first baseman.
Yep. Now, what might happen with Edwin, I like how you mentioned that name. I think he becomes your DH if David Ortiz retires. I always play it off with him because I'm still convinced that David Ortiz can't turn down $25-30 million to play one more year because who knows, maybe the Red Sox get all the way to the championship series and then done. Not going to the World Series. You really think Ortiz wants to go home after that?
No.
Probably not. And money talks. So we'll have to see on the Ortiz front. Now, for me, on how I would change the team, my first change, obviously I spoiled it with my bold statement, is get rid of Farrell. The team does not respond to John Farrell. They respond to Torey Lovullo, who we saw last year for a sample size. They're like 15 games over 500, something like that with him. And I think that they need somebody that's in the management chair who the players respond to, because they're not responding. Pitchers, hitters right now, not going so well. That would be number one for me. The second thing I would do is Joe does not want to part with the farm. I do want to part with the farm, and here's why. We already have so much youth already up here. We have Bradley, Betts, Bogarts, Shaw, Christian Vasquez, you name it's there. All these guys that we have as prospects are about 18, 19, 20 years old. If you need to part with somebody to get an ace pitcher, you need to do that because our pitching in the farm, we don't have anybody outside of 18-year-old Anderson Espinosa. That's it. That's all you have. So you're going to have to make that big move somehow, some way. So if you have to part with somebody like a Benintendi or a Rafael Devers or an Espinosa, you do that. The one person that I'm keeping is Juan Moncada. That's the only player that I would keep that's in the farm. And here's why. The Red Sox already have about a $50 million investment on him, so I'm sure that they don't want to just throw money out because of the player that they signed. So for Moncada's stake, Moncada better get himself ready to be able to play a certain position that the team will need. So they should look into Moncada maybe going to the outfield, because maybe he steps into left field or goes to third base and Hanley goes out, because that's, I think, the best case scenario for them. So your call of Andrew Benintendi coming up is kind of like mine in a way, but my call up goes to Moncada. I put Moncada at third base, whether he's ready or not. Put him there, see if he's going to get the job done. Put Shaw to first, kind of like what you wanted to do a little bit, and then you can go out and get that ace pitcher. Now, who am I getting? I would like Jose Fernandez from Miami. Now, there's a reason why I like him a little bit and why I think Miami might be able to deal him. The owner from the Miami Marlins is a hothead, so he kind of gets a little trigger happy with pulling it a little bit because he feels he needs to make a move. So with Fernandez, we already have endorsements from a lot of people in the office, including Pedro Martinez, who thinks that Jose Fernandez would be an outstanding pitcher to add into this rotation, for not just now, for years to come. I think that's the guy you look at. Now, of course, there's other guys out there that you could go and get Sonny Gray. You could probably offer the White Sox something for Chris Sale. I think going to Miami is the better end, because I think this guy has the most potential out of that group to really be established here in Boston. That's what I would do on that front. I also would look the market for relief pitching, because there's really nobody in that bullpen to be really trusted outside of Kimbrel in a save situation. Outside of a save situation, he can't pitch. He can't. His ERA is like 13 when he's outside in a tie game or the Red Sox are trailing. He cannot be put in. He needs that 5-4, 4-3, one-run style game to be as dominant as we've seen him in those games. So that's how I would go on a couple different things there. Does anybody have any rebuttal or different thoughts? All right, what I want to do now is change gears and go into our All-Stars for the Red Sox, and maybe if we have time to go down and have everybody's pick on AL/NL as well. So for All-Stars, it's coming up quickly. That's the halfway point in the season for many of the baseball teams. For the Sox, we're going to stay with the Sox just to keep the flow going, because we need to talk about the NBA as well. We have a couple different players that could definitely make this All-Star team. But the problem with the All-Star is that every team needs to be represented. So in fan voting right now, you have Jackie Bradley, Betts, Bogarts, Ortiz leading the way for the Red Sox and the All-Stars. Could it change? Of course it could. But I want to go to Ryan first. If the season was the halfway point now, All-Star game was, say, tomorrow, who are your All-Stars on the Red Sox?
I think I would agree with that. I think Bogarts has to make it. You know, his average is insane. He's had an incredible year. I think Mookie and Bradley have to make it, because they've been outstanding offensively. And, you know, Poppy's throwing up, like, insane numbers right now. Like
he is.
MVP numbers. So I think those are the players you got to go with.
Anybody on the pitching front?
I wouldn't go with anyone on the pitching front.
Okay.
I think,
You differ from him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Wright should be there.
Yep.
I mean, he's had an insane season.
Sure.
And I remember in the beginning of the season, they didn't even know if he was going to be in the starting rotation.
Absolutely.
And now he's probably been the most consistent pitcher, easily. And I think Ortiz should make it. And I think that Bogarts and Betts should make it, and not Jackie. Because I just feel like after his hitting streak, I just feel like he's not really producing for me, my opinion at least.
I would 100% go with exactly what he said. I would go Wright, Ortiz, because you have to, but also because he's produced, Betts, and Bogarts.
We're going to be 3-0 right now. I was, again, so high on Jackie Bradley, and I don't see it right now. Unless he has another one of those amazing hit streaks and just starts hitting like 350, 400 for the month. He is in the lead right now because I think those votes from May, from fan voting, have just kind of stayed right there. So fans are still Jackie Bradley Jr. happy with that right now. But I do think it's going to be Stephen Wright. He has to be there. He's been so consistent. He's really only had one bad start. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's when it rained.
Yeah.
He had no movement of the knuckleball. So if it rains, it's not going to be the time for the knuckleballer to throw. Bogart's absolutely hands down at shortstop. Ortiz, no doubt about it. I go with Betts in the outfield over Bradley as well. I do. That's my choice on that end. So, anybody have anything else to add on to the All-Stars? It's coming soon, so hopefully those 4 will be representing the Red Sox this year versus 1 last year, which was?
Who was that?
Brock
Yeah,
Holt.
Brock Holt,
Oh, yeah.
How crazy is that? Changing gears. You want to go over to talk about the NBA. We saw a great series that just ended up between the Cavaliers and the Spurs. Went all the way to Game 7. Just want to hear what your thoughts are on the series from what you saw from a fan perspective.
So that was probably one of the better series I've watched in a long time,
Okay.
just for the fact that it was a 3-1. It was Golden State, best regular season team. Are they going to be better than the Bulls? You know, all that jazz. And then you watched a guy like LeBron take over and just completely obliterate Golden State. I think that was just a huge statement for me. I'm not a huge LeBron fan as a human off the court, but especially after this, like, he's just got my utmost respect as a player.
Yeah, I respect him a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, I think in the last 3 games, he had over 105 points. He had 2 41-point games, and him and Kyrie have just been on fire. And Kyrie's shooting has just been very good. And honestly, I think in the years to come, I think they're going to win a couple more championships.
Okay. Valid point.
I think the NBA Finals was wrapped up with LeBron and Kyrie. They just, after the first few struggling games, they just really turned it on, and no one could stop them.
What I thought was pretty cool was to see kind of the making of Kyrie Irving before our eyes just kind of took over. That actually, I was able to see more from him versus LeBron. We kind of, in and out, know what LeBron's going to do, basically. But Kyrie Irving's 3 right there won that game. I mean, that right there, that's huge. So to see him build his career up a little bit and get it done in the playoffs, in the biggest stage that's there, is pretty exciting. I thought the Curry play was probably tops right there, outside of the LeBron block we saw in Game 7. That was also amazing. Now, who did he block from Golden State on that play?
I think Iguodala?
Yeah, it was.
It was Iguodala.
Iguodala.
That was just an amazing play.
Yeah.
Amazing play. It kind of took over that game and made the Cavaliers kind of go on their path of victory right there. Now, my question that I have on my legal pad right here is, did the Cavaliers win this series, or did Golden State choke? What do you think on that? Did Golden State hand this to the Cavaliers, basically, or did the Cavaliers find an answer, get the job done, and become NBA champions? We'll go to Ryan this time first.
I think the Cleveland Cavaliers won that game. I think Golden State, played pretty good. I mean, they weren't at their best, but Cleveland really rose to the occasion and just played unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like the Cavs just turned up, and like you could tell in the first couple games when LeBron played, I think his shooting percentage was very low.
It was.
And he wasn't really having an impact on the games. And then he started turning up. In the last 3 games they won, he was on fire. He was by far the best player on that court.
Yep.
So I just think they won that.
What do you think?
I'm half and half.
Okay.
So I think that Golden State was clearly exposed for, I think that they threw up shots that they shouldn't have thrown up. I think that Curry was exposed big time. They basically shut him down and kind of made him look awful. I feel like Curry didn't do much. He didn't work to get open sometimes. I just felt like, he faded as it got tighter and tighter and tighter. So I thought they were exposed. And, you go up 3-1 with 2 home game opportunities to clinch that.
Yep.
got to be a little bit of a choke. And I think also, I mean, LeBron went out and took it. So can I say that Golden State totally choked? No. But LeBron went out and took it himself as well.
You guys will like this statement. It was a kick in the nuts to Golden State not to win.
Yeah, it was.
From that suspension on what Draymond Green got, if you look back on that, that was your turning point in the series. If he was in Game 5, probably over. But because of stupidity, basically, he sits. The Cavaliers get back in this series. So in a way, to me, yeah, I do think Golden State gave this series to the Cavs. The Cavs just responded, is what I'm looking at. LeBron came to play. Kyrie came to play. Golden State, they were done. They were done as soon as that came. You have Steph Curry's wife going on Twitter saying the NBA is rigged. I mean, they got embarrassed. And that is not being talked about enough. It just isn't. It's been, oh, LeBron is wonderful. He's a champion. Champion comes home to Ohio. No, that's not the topic. That should not be the story. The story should be how Golden State just completely handed this to the Cavs. That's how I feel on that. But, you know, everybody's different. ESPN has to have their special things that they do, which I love that network. Not. Now, that's how I feel on that. What I do want to ask you, too, before we wrap up the show is we have the NBA draft coming. Okay, very exciting. If you're a Celtics fan, this is our chance to hopefully get something to build our team to get into an NBA championship mode as best we can. The Celtics right now at this point have pick number 3. A lot of different choices that they'll be able to make. We know they're not getting Simmons and they're not getting Ingram. We know that. Just not happening. But who out of the rest of the crew will they get? It's like a wild card. So I'm sure everybody has a difference of an opinion on this. Do you have a thought?
I don't want Chris Dunn.
You don't want Chris Dunn.
I definitely don't want Chris
okay.
Dunn.
Who do you want?
I don't really know who I want, to be honest with you. I don't think Bender is
Well, here's
that
another.
great of a
I'll
player.
make this a different question for you. If you do not want the pick, do you want to trade it?
We have offered the number 3 pick for Jabari Parker.
Yep.
And another player, but I don't know who they named for that. So, I mean, if that were to go through, I'm okay with that. If you trade 3 for Jimmy Butler, I'd go with that, but that doesn't look like that's going to be an option anymore in Chicago.
Love Jimmy Butler.
So I would like to see us trade it if we're not confident in what we're going to get, and I don't want Chris Dunn.
Okay.
I guess I agree with that because I feel like I'd rather have a player that's, you know, have done something in the big games and we can trust. Like, I don't know, not like I guess like not a proven veteran, but like someone who's proven himself, but not as old. Like, say, like, you know, someone like LeBron's age, like 29, 30, who can get like 4 or 5 years out of. Because I just feel like if we get a younger player, he could just be a total bust.
Well, even Jabari now, Jabari is established enough. I know he got hurt his first year, but he played last year and he was decent. So it's like he's young enough where we're going to get a lot out of him. So it's basically like getting a draft pick and picking him 3 anyways. And now you've just got that youth there. So I think Jabari would be our best option. Again, I don't know how that's going to happen.
What do you think?
I think a trade would be nice, but, you know, if we're not able to get a trade, I think Chris Dunn would be the way to go because I think we really need a shooter who can, you know, shoot threes because we don't have that knockdown shooter. And every, you know, if you're going to be a playoff team that's going to go far, you need that knockdown shooter.
I don't think that we're going to – I think when we're going to pick, we're picking for somebody else. We're not picking for ourselves. So if we get that 3 pick, it might be Chris Dunn, but I don't see him playing here with the Celtics. If I'm keeping the pick, I actually like Dragan Bender. I do. And he's from overseas. But what I look at that model there, I look at how they worked with the Knicks and how what's his name again?
Porzingis.
Yeah, it could very well work out like something like that. I think that it would add in a little bit of an identity on where we're heading with somebody. of his nature coming in. So if I'm picking it and I want to keep it, I'm probably going with Bender. But I think it's going to end up being Chris Dunn, and they're going to take it and get somebody to trade with. Who do I think's coming here? As of this time, I'm still thinking it's going to be Okafor from Philly, because if they take Ben Simmons, which is most likely where it's going to happen, it's going to leave them with too many bigs up front, and it's going to mean Philly can part with one of them. They like Simmons better. It looks like it could be Okafor coming to Boston, which is I'm okay with, but we can't just have Okafor here. We need more pieces to the puzzle. So that's what I'm looking at there. Does anybody have anything to add on the draft?
I guess for the Bender thing, just don't believe the hype. I think, Porzingis panned out good. It's only been 1 year, so, going off what he said, we need somebody that's established, and I think to take Bender off the idea that he could be like a Porzingis is a little tough for me.
Absolutely valid, completely valid. Now, what we want to do to end our show here today is do a top 5. Last show we did a top 5 most hated. Today we're going to do a top 5 greatest baseball champions of all time. So that can be very open-ended. It can mean that our list might differ from one another. So, going down the list, who would like to start? We'll go with number 5 on the list. Who do you feel deserves number 5? We'll go to Ryan. We'll put you on the spot first.
I'm going to go with Albert Pujols.
Yeah, huh? Okay.
I am.
Wow.
I think he's just established such a consistent career of 300 batting averages and 30-plus homers and 100-plus ribbies, and he's still putting up great numbers, when he's in his high 30s. I think he's just, established himself in that place.
Hopefully we didn't get a remote control flip from that. Hopefully not. Who do you go with 5?
I just must say this, but Ichiro.
Okay.
I know it's out there, but he's just proven himself. He's had years, I think 10 years plus, where he's had over 200 hits. And
But what did he do a couple weeks ago?
he broke the record.
Most hits.
No, he didn't.
They didn't break the record, but he got his 3,000th hit.
Yeah, well.
What? No, it was not?
No, I'm saying no, he didn't break the record because everybody's trying to give him the credit for the Pete Rose stuff.
I hear what. Okay, so
I think he
I
did.
agree with him.
talking about the whole Japan to America thing, it would have been the most hits ever. So I hear what you. I hear what
I don't know. I just feel like he's really, is one of the greats because, look, he has over 4,000 hits, and I just think he's, all around good player.
Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with, I'm not going to go super old school with all the guys that I've never seen play. So I'm going to go with people I see play. So for now, for me, I'm going to go at 5, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. Those would be my 5.
Yep. I like that.
Just
I like
straight
that.
up.
So what we'll do is we'll keep this players now, basically playing. Players now. So everybody has a general sense of that. Top 5 right now, I would go with, I like Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, number 5. What we need to see more of is obviously how he can win in the playoffs. We haven't seen anything from him really in the playoffs yet. So to put him as a champion is pretty tough to put on there, but I like his overall play. So Bryce Harper would be number 5 for me. How about 4? We'll go to Joe now.
4 for me is probably Derek Jeter.
Okay.
I know he's a Yankee, but I think that everything that he's done as a whole on the field, I just think that he's just one of those guys where you just got to tip your cap to him and acknowledge that, he's done nothing but great things.
I'm going to go with kind of out there. I'm going to go with Ken Griffey.
Okay.
I just think he's just such a great hitter.
Yep.
And like for many years, he was just hitting home runs, and he had over 30 home runs a season, and he was just doing it pretty much, honestly.
Yeah, he had a great career.
I'm going to go with Mike Trout. I think if he keeps at this pace, I think he'll definitely be one of the greatest. If he's able to stay healthy, he's really proved that he's been incredibly consistent. He's been a 5-tool player. He's incredible fielder, incredible average, and hits a lot of home runs. So
My 4. 1, 2. Yeah, I'll go with Mike Trout on that, number 4. I'll go Mike Trout. I think that he is, in my opinion, the best player in the game, for hitting-wise at least. 5 tools, continues to produce in and out. Mike Trout would be my number 4. Now number 3. Number 3. Let's go with you this time.
All right.
Who's number 3?
I think it's Derek Jeter.
Okay.
The captain. I mean, honestly, like, great average overall. He can lead a baseball team. He's a great fielder. Like,
Yep.
I just feel like he's one of the best shortstops of all time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just gets it done.
Who do you go with?
I'm going to go with Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay.
I think he, back in the day, he was just an incredible power hitter, and he produced, all around incredible numbers.
And?
Jacob Arrieta. Dominant.
Okay.
I think that's
a good one. That's out of the
what
park
he's
one.
done the last 2 years is pretty ridiculous. I know you can argue Kershaw, you can argue the guy over in San Fran.
Yep.
So for me, I just think the way he does everything is just so dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So I got him at 3.
My 3 is Kershaw. Kershaw for the Dodgers. Again, this year, it's just eye-boggling numbers that he's putting up. What we need to see on the sample size from him is winning in the playoffs. That's the only thing that's not as consistent yet with him, but Kershaw is just a freak of nature. I mean, he is dominant as dominant can get. Maybe very well the face of baseball right now for getting the job done. Now, number 2. We have 2 more choices to make. It gets a little tougher. So I have 2 on my list. Who do you have on yours? Who's number 2?
I'm pitcher friendly today. Mariano Rivera.
Okay.
I just think, everything that he's ever done, he's just been dominant.
Best closer ever.
And, last guy to ever wear number 42, I think that's, you carry a big legacy
you do.
there.
Yep.
So, Mariano Rivera for me too.
Who do you go with?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Miguel Cabrera.
Okay.
I
like that pick.
He's on my fantasy baseball team, so I got to respect it.
Yep.
But I just think he's the best hitter in baseball right now.
Okay.
And he's just a monster.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Nolan Arenado. I think,
Rockies, all right.
Yeah, I think third-year veteran, he's still extremely young. In the last 2 years, he's just put up, extraordinary numbers. And I think if he's able to stay healthy, I think he could have a chance to be one of the greatest all time. Mm-hmm. And, incredible fielder as well.
Number 2 for me is David Ortiz. The numbers that you see from him, let's face it, guys, the greatest clutch hitter who ever lived. 04, 07, 13, other playoff series where he's been involved with. You can't discount 2013 either. 2003, excuse me. He still put up numbers from all that stuff there. But he identifies so well as that face of the Red Sox. He's coming through with so many clutch hits over time. Will probably be the first designated hitter to go into the Hall of Fame, which is going to be pretty awesome to see there. And we'll have 34 retired when he's done with the Red Sox. So David Ortiz, number 2 on my list. Number 1. Who is number 1?
David Ortiz.
Okay.
Best clutch hitter, best clutch Boston sports athlete in the history of Boston sports.
Yep.
I just think that what he does in moments when it counts the most is what matters to me. And to me, there isn't a guy that I would rather be hitting in any tight situation than him ever.
Yep. I like that pick.
I'm going the same way. David Ortiz, honestly, he's just done so many things in his career that just make it. And I just feel like with the home runs he's had, what is it, over 500 now? 522?
I think we're at 522.
Yeah, and, he's, top 20, I'd like to say, for the home runs. And I just feel like his average is showing it too.
Yep.
And I just feel like he's one of the best. I think he is, what you said, the best clutch hitter there is.
I'm going to go with Manny Ramirez. I think, I know he's gone for right now, but, when in his prime, he was their hitter, Poppy and Manny. And I know Poppy's, still hitting ridiculous numbers, but Manny, when he was on, he was
Manny being Manny.
He was incredible.
I guess it's now Ryan being Ryan. Why don't you go into the wall and go to the bathroom or something? All right, number 1 for me. I was debating on Ortiz, but I said I can't be so Boston. Can't be that homer from Boston and pick that. I have to think out of the box. Madison Bumgarner. Wouldn't that be amazing to have him in a Red Sox uniform? I mean, the numbers he has put up in the playoffs are staggering. If you go back and look at it, I mean, it's not just 2012 when he put up his numbers. I mean, or 2014 when he did. But he's just been so dominant. I don't think he gets enough recognition. And I think part of the problem is that he plays with the Giants. The Giants are a larger market team, but for us on the East Coast, we don't get a chance to see him that much. And he is right up there with Clayton Kershaw. But what Madison Bumgarner has proven is he can get the job done and win a World Series. Not just one, but multiple. So Madison Bumgarner is my guy at number 1 on the list of top 5 greatest players right now in the game. Anybody else have anything to add before we wrap it all up? Well, for our 2 newbies, thank you guys for joining us on Face the Facts. It was a lot of fun. For Joe, thank you for being here as well. And we will see you again next time on another episode of Face the Facts. I'm Nick Face. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.